Have you ever noticed how a woman's silence can speak louder than her words? How, in the curve of her lips, smiling or still, there lingers a storm untold, a longing unspoken, a fire repressed beneath centuries of expectation? What if I told you that beneath every woman's surface, beneath beauty, beneath strength, beneath conformity or rebellion, there lies an archetype waiting to be seen? Not by the world, but by her. And what if the reason she feels torn, misunderstood, or too much for some and not enough for others is because her soul is at war with the mask she was told to wear? Carl Jung believed that everything visible is just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the conscious mind lies a world deeper than language, one carved by symbols, dreams, and primal truths. It is from this unconscious ocean that archetypes rise. Timeless figures like the mother, the huntress, the lover, the witch, the maiden, each a pattern, each a potential. These are not roles we play for others. They are maps imprinted into our psychic DNA, whispering our purpose, if we dare to listen. But here's the brutal truth no one wants to hear. Most women have been taught to silence these voices, to dismiss their inner archetypes as fantasies, to cut away their wildness for approval, to deny their intuition for logic, to fear their power because power, when not male-shaped, has too often been punished. A woman may dress in modern clothes, speak in educated tones, climb ladders built by systems that were never designed with her soul in mind, and still feel hollow, still feel unseen. Because she has not yet looked inward and asked, "Whose story am I living?" Jung called this the process of individuation, the soul's aching quest to become whole. Not perfect, whole. To peel back the layers of collective programming and reclaim the self, not as the world has defined it, but as it longs to emerge. This video is not about criticizing women. It is not about placing blame on culture, men, or institutions, though all play their part. It is about understanding how the unconscious shapes the feminine experience, how archetypes call from within, and how embracing the shadow, the hidden, the feared, the rejected, is the only way to truly come home. So I ask you, look at the women in your life. Look at the woman in the mirror. Look at the girl inside you still waiting to be heard. What if every struggle you felt, every relationship that broke you, every moment you felt too sensitive, too loud, too wild, was not your flaw, but your soul trying to awaken? This is not random. This is not weakness. This is a sacred map. And today we begin decoding it. Because the brutal reality is not that women are too emotional, too confusing, or too complicated. The brutal reality is that society fears what it cannot control. And a woman who remembers who she truly is cannot be controlled. In the moments ahead, we will journey deep into the archetypes that shape the feminine soul. We will meet the lover and the sage, the destroyer and the queen, not as fairy tales, but as living energies pulsing within every woman. We will confront the shadow, the part no one wants to talk about, and honor it as the doorway to your power. We will explore how relationships reflect the parts of ourselves we've forgotten, and how every heartbreak, every silence, every wild urge is not madness, but a message. If you've ever felt like your truth was too much, or your desires too strange, or your soul too ancient for this modern world, you are not broken. You are awakening. And if you're drawn to the mysteries of the soul, if something inside you is whispering, "Yes, this is what I've been waiting to remember," then subscribe now. Join this circle of seekers. We are not here to be nice. We are here to be whole. In the next part, we will explore how these archetypes, these ancient patterns, live through your emotions, your body, and your unspoken desires. You may begin to see your pain in a new light, not as punishment, but as prophecy. The symbols she carries, archetypes, and the soul's imprint. A woman does not arrive into this world as a blank slate. She comes wrapped in myth. She is born under the gaze of ancestral winds, baptized in the unseen waters of her lineage, and shaped by symbols older than any language. And whether she knows it or not, she walks with ancient blueprints encoded into her psyche. Blueprints that Jung called archetypes, not characters, not roles, but living patterns, universal forces that dwell in the collective unconscious, a vast sea of inherited memory that stretches beyond this life, beyond culture, beyond even time itself. You see, what your body carries, its shape, its rhythm, its softness or sharpness, is not accidental. Nor are the longings that haunt you, the stories you are drawn to, or the kinds of men you attract. They are symbols carved into the marrow of your being. And symbols, Jung taught us, are the language of the soul. Let us begin with a simple, often overlooked truth. The feminine has always been feared, not because it is weak, but because it is mysterious. Mystery cannot be tamed. It cannot be pinned down into categories or metrics. It moves, it bleeds, it rages. It gives birth to life and death alike. And in a world obsessed with order, the wild feminine is chaos made holy. In ancient myths, the feminine was not one thing, she was many. She was Kali, destroyer and liberator. She was Isis, rebuilder of what was broken. She was Lilith, the exiled rebel who would not submit. She was Sophia, divine wisdom personified. Each a mirror, each a story within your bones. And yet, modern women are rarely taught to see themselves through these sacred lenses. Instead, they are given narrow scripts. Be desirable, be accommodating, be successful but not threatening, maternal but never too much. What if your struggles don't mean you're failing? What if they mean your archetypes are misaligned, repressed, distorted, or unheard? Let's speak plainly. The woman who constantly seeks love but never feels fulfilled may be led by the lover archetype, starving not for touch but for soulful union. The one who isolates, who feels misunderstood by peers and partners, may carry the mystic, longing not for company but for communion with the sacred. The woman who rages against injustice, who cannot tolerate the mundane, may be the rebel, carrying the fire of the destroyer, not to harm but to purge illusion. These archetypes are not labels, they are codes. And these codes do not emerge by accident. Your appearance, your voice, the curve of your hips, or the stillness in your gaze, all symbolic. Your cycles, your timing, the heartbreak that shattered you at 19, the betrayal that woke you at 34, the solitude that haunts you at 42, all part of the myth. Even your birth month, your dreams, the colors you're drawn to, and the fears that repeat, they are not random. They are archetypal threads trying to lead you back to yourself. Let's take a moment to feel that. Breathe. Ask yourself, what am I always drawn to but afraid to claim? What roles have I played for others that never felt like home? What parts of me have I buried because they were too intense, too unruly, too sacred? Jung taught us that the self is not found in perfection. It is found in wholeness. To be whole is to integrate both light and shadow, power and vulnerability, rage and grace. But wholeness begins with recognizing what you carry. And women especially have been trained to forget. They are told to be everything to everyone, except themselves. To quiet the witch, ignore the mystic, shame the seductress, and idealize the maiden long past her season. But these parts never disappear. They go underground, becoming symptoms: anxiety, discontent, numbness, confusion, and love. To reclaim them is not indulgence, it is healing. And this is where we begin. In the next section, we will unravel the major archetypes as they appear in women's lives today. We will explore their traits, their strengths, their shadows, and how your unique patterns point to your karmic journey of individuation. You will see how these energies shape not only your relationships with others, but your relationship with yourself. Because once you name the force within, it can no longer control you in secret. It becomes an ally, a guide, a flame. The feminine archetypes. Faces of the forgotten soul. She is not just one woman, she is many. Beneath the surface of your everyday persona, your job title, your roles, your habits. There are sacred patterns waiting, like moons behind clouds, like voices singing beneath the skin. Carl Jung believed that archetypes are not imagined. They are remembered, fragments of the divine blueprint echoing across generations, rising from the collective unconscious like myths breathing through flesh. And in every woman, whether she knows it or not, these archetypes stir. Let us meet them. The maiden. Innocence, hope, becoming archetype. The eternal spring light side. She is youth untouched by cynicism. She trusts, she dreams, she believes. Shadow side. Naive, dependent, fearful of aging or maturity. The maiden is the untouched garden within every woman. The part of you that still believes in first kisses, in serendipity, in magic not yet lost to time. She is the one who waits by the phone, who watches clouds, who walks into new love with an open heart and no armor. She is light itself, but she is also vulnerable to illusions. In her shadow, she remains a child, trapped in people-pleasing, afraid of disappointing others, fearing rejection like death. She may delay her own becoming for the sake of staying desirable, but when embraced, the maiden is the spark of possibility. She reminds us that we were once soft, curious, brave enough to try again. The lover, desire, sensuality, intimacy. Archetype, the flame light side, passionate, alive, magnetic. Shadow side, obsessive, dependent, defined by the gaze of others. The lover is not just sexual. She is the pulse of aliveness that floods your veins when you are connected. To another, to art, to nature, to your own body. She whispers, feel this, want this. Come alive again. But in a world that teaches women to fear their desire, the lover is often shamed. She is taught to be polite instead of powerful, to hide her hunger in the name of purity or professionalism. When repressed, she turns inward, starving for touch, for attention, for meaning. She may fall into relationships that feel like home only because they reflect her earliest wounds. She may give too much because she has never felt like enough. But in her truth, the lover is divine eroticism. She teaches you to fall in love, not just with another, but with life itself. The mother, creation, nurture, sustenance. Archetype, the earth light side, compassionate, grounding, protective. Shadow side, controlling, martyring, enmeshed. The mother is not just about children. She is about creation in all forms. Ideas, projects, community, healing. She is the one who gives, who holds, who builds nests in deserts. Her love is sacred, but when distorted, it becomes sacrifice. She forgets herself. She gives to the point of depletion. She becomes the savior, the fixer, the one who carries the emotional weight of everyone around her until she is resentful, bitter, or silently broken. But when she remembers her boundaries, the mother becomes the source. She gives from fullness, not emptiness. She nurtures not from obligation, but from love rooted in strength. The huntress, independence, strength, sovereignty archetype. The archer, light side, fiercely autonomous, focused, clear in purpose. Shadow side, isolated, hardened, disconnected from the heart. The huntress lives in the woman who doesn't wait to be chosen. She chooses herself. She builds empires. She protects her own wildness. But in a society that often reduces feminine worth to desirability, the huntress is called intimidating, cold, or too much. She is misunderstood because she does not need permission to exist. In her shadow, she can become rigid, afraid to receive, afraid to trust, afraid that vulnerability equals weakness. But her true lesson is balance, to know that independence and intimacy are not opposites, to wield the bow without breaking the heart. The mystic, intuition, inner truth, transcendence. Archetype, the veil light side, deeply intuitive, spiritually connected, guided from within. Shadow side, dissociative, isolated, unreachable. The mystic is the woman who lives close to the veil between worlds. She dreams vividly. She sees patterns others miss. She follows the moon more than the clock. But in a culture addicted to productivity and proof, she often feels out of place, too sensitive, too odd, too silent. She may withdraw, float above the messiness of life, detach from her body. She may struggle to ground her gifts in daily living, but within her lies the wisdom of the ages. The mystic reminds us, the deepest truths are not shouted, they are whispered in the dark. Each of these archetypes lives within you, some louder, some sleeping, some wounded, some waiting to be claimed. Which ones speak to you most? Which ones do you deny? And most of all, what would it feel like to live as your whole self, not a fragmented performance of acceptability? In the next part, we will journey deeper. We will explore the shadows of these archetypes, not to fear them, but to understand the karmic lessons they hold. Because only by facing what we have buried can we retrieve the keys to our transformation into the shadow, the hidden face of feminine power. Every light casts a shadow. This is the law of the psyche, just as it is the law of nature. Jung taught us that the shadow is not evil. It is not something to erase. It is the part of ourselves we hide, repress, or deny because we were once told it was too much or not enough. But here's the irony. What we repress does not disappear. It waits. It seeps into our relationships, our choices, our self-worth. It becomes the unspoken reason why we sabotage the love we crave, why we overgive, overachieve, or over-isolate. And for women especially, the shadow is thick with inherited silence. Let us look again at the archetypes we've met through the mirror of the shadow, not to judge them, but to free them. The maiden's shadow, the pleaser, the perpetual child. The shadow of the maiden is dependency dressed as innocence. When she is afraid to grow, she seeks validation instead of truth. She flirts with life but never commits to it. She plays small, hoping to be saved. She becomes addicted to approval, afraid to speak her needs, afraid to upset the balance, afraid that love must be earned through docility. But her gift is not in being perfect. It is in risking becoming. To evolve, she must break her own illusion. She must choose initiation through heartbreak, failure, self-definition. She must say, I will no longer be who they need. I will become who I am. The lover's shadow. The addict, the abandoned. The lover's wound is the fear of abandonment. When wounded, she confuses chemistry with destiny. She confuses longing with love. She clings to those who mirror her earliest pain, repeating cycles of seduction and rejection. She may obsess over being desired, but secretly fears being truly seen. She may lose herself in others, becoming whoever she must to stay wanted. In this shadow, intimacy becomes a performance, but her freedom lies in self-union. To heal, she must seduce her own soul. To touch her own heart with the reverence she once gave away. She must say, I no longer wait to be chosen. I choose myself. The mother's shadow. The martyr. The devourer. The shadow of the mother is sacrifice without end. She overgives until she disappears. She confuses love with control. She may smother instead of nurture because she is terrified of being unneeded. She puts everyone first, then resents them for taking. Her warmth becomes a trap, but her true power is in sovereignty. To love from overflow, not depletion. To care without losing herself. She must say, I am not responsible for everyone's happiness. I am responsible for my own wholeness. The huntress's shadow. The ice queen. The exile. The huntress in shadow is afraid of softness. She has been wounded by dependence, by betrayal, by powerlessness. So she builds walls instead of bridges. She becomes hyper-independent. She mistrusts vulnerability. She avoids intimacy, fearing that love will weaken her aim. She may confuse solitude with self-sufficiency when what she truly needs is safe connection. But her healing is an integration. She must learn that strength includes the heart, that allowing help is not weakness, but wisdom. She must say, I can be held and still be free. The mystic's shadow, the ghost, the escapist. The mystic's shadow is detachment. She floats above the world, spiritual but ungrounded. She fears being seen in the mundane, in the messy, in the human. She may retreat into dreams, into rituals, into fantasy, while neglecting the body, the bills, the boundaries. She avoids conflict, avoids reality, avoids herself, but her evolution is in embodiment. To bring heaven to earth, to speak truth in the marketplace, to live her magic in motion. She must say, I will not hide in the sacred. I will become the sacred. Each shadow is a door, each wound a rite of passage. Jung's path of individuation demands that we walk toward the very things we've feared, because it is there, in the discomfort, that the soul is carved into its full shape. And this is not just philosophy. It shows up in your real life, in your relationships that repeat the same painful dynamic, in the dreams that haunt you, in the breakdown that led to your breakthrough, in the quiet knowing that you were meant for more, even if you can't name it yet. To do shadow work is not to dwell in darkness. It is to retrieve the power you left behind when you were told to be good. It is to say, I will no longer trade my authenticity for belonging. In the next section, we will turn from the theoretical to the deeply personal. You will receive reflective questions and practices to begin integrating what you've discovered, so that this is not just insight, but transformation. You will learn how to meet your archetypes in your everyday life, in the mirror, in your decisions, in the way you love. Reflective embodiment. Turning the mirror inward. You've journeyed through myth. You've walked beside archetypes, felt their breath in your longing, their shadows in your silence. Now the question arises, what will you do with what you now remember? Jung once wrote, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This is the moment we stop calling it fate. This is the moment we turn the mirror inward, not to critique, but to recognize, because knowledge without embodiment is just decoration. But reflection becomes revolution. Begin. Here, the archetypal mirror. Take a moment, breathe. Feel the pull in your chest when you think of a specific archetype. That's not coincidence, that's soul resonance. Ask yourself, which archetype did I feel most connected to? Which one did I resist? Which one have I been performing? And which one have I been suppressing? These questions are not meant to be answered with logic. They are invitations to a different kind of knowing, the kind that lives in your body, in your breath, in your gut. Let the answers rise like mist, not lightning. Write them down, not to control them, but to witness them. There is power in naming. Daily practices for archetypal integration. 1. Gaze into your eyes. Each morning, stand before the mirror, not to fix your face, but to face your truth. Look into your eyes, not with critique, but with curiosity. Ask softly, what archetype stirs in me today? What does she need? What am I afraid to see? You may notice the lover in the way your lips part when remembering joy, or the huntress in the tightness of your jaw when setting boundaries, or the mystic in the way your pupils dilate when you're lost in thought. You are never just one version of yourself. You are seasons. You are phases. You are tides. To journal your shadows. Once a week, choose an archetype and explore her darker face. For example, where have I overgiven as the mother and lost myself in the process? Where has my huntress turned to ice, fearing to need anyone? Where have I chased love as the lover when I truly needed to love myself? Don't censor. Let it pour. The page holds what your tongue cannot yet say. It's safer than silence and braver than pretending. 3. Create a sacred space for embodiment. Choose a physical practice to activate your archetype. Dance like the lover, sensually with no purpose but pleasure. Walk alone as the huntress. Feel the earth meet your stride. Light a candle and breathe with the mystic. 1 minute, eyes closed, heart open. Cook or garden as the mother. Create and nourish without needing applause. Dress in a way that honors the maiden, innocent, playful, soft. These are not performances, they are reclamations. The body remembers what the mind forgets. Reflections on relationship now turn to your relationships, not to blame, but to decode. What archetype do you lead with in love? What wounds do you unconsciously invite? Who triggers your shadow, and what is it trying to show you? Jung believed that every person we attract is a mirror, reflecting parts of ourselves we need to embrace or confront. If you attract emotionally unavailable partners, are you playing the abandoned lover? If you feel like you're always giving, never receiving, are you stuck in the wounded mother? This is not your punishment. This is your pattern. And once seen, a pattern can be rewritten. So ask, what lesson has this relationship been trying to teach me about myself? Where have I betrayed my truth for the illusion of safety? What part of me still believes I must earn love? The answers may sting. Let them. Pain is the language of awakening when we refuse to numb. A ritual to reclaim your inner feminine. Tonight, just once, prepare a space where your soul feels honored. Light a candle. Sit in silence. Speak aloud to the woman within you, no matter how broken, how radiant, how unknown she feels. Say, I see you. I forgive you. I will no longer abandon you for approval. I will walk with you in fire and light alike. I claim you, all of you, as mine. This is not just poetry. This is psychic rewiring. It is how you begin to integrate what you've learned, not just into your thoughts, but into your choices, your voice, your posture, your presence. You are not here to perform. You are not here to shrink or apologize. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to become whole. And whole means all of it. The softness and the rage, the sensual and the sovereign, the sacred and the shadow. In the next part, we return to the world with these truths in our hands. You'll discover how this inner alignment begins to shift everything around you. Your relationships, your purpose, your radiance. Not because you are trying harder, but because you are finally being you, returning radiant. How wholeness reshapes the world around you. She returns not as she left. Not with armor, not with apology, but with presence. There is a kind of beauty that does not depend on symmetry or approval. A beauty that cannot be sold, styled, or filtered. It's the beauty of a woman who has met herself, all of herself, and chosen not to flinch. This is the true alchemy of Jung's individuation. Not the acquisition of traits, but the integration of fragments. Not the escape from shadow, but the dance with it. Not the imitation of an ideal, but the embodiment of truth. When a woman begins to walk this path of remembering, reclaiming, becoming, her outer world begins to shift, sometimes subtly, sometimes like an earthquake. Because the self cannot emerge without consequences. The masks fall, the roles crumble, and with them illusions shatter. Let's explore what this return to the world looks like, not as a performance, but as a transformation. 1. Relationships realign. When you no longer betray yourself, those who fed on your compliance will pull away. Let them. You may lose lovers who needed you small, friends who preferred your silence, or jobs that demanded your disconnection from your soul. But the ones who remain or who enter now will meet you as you are. Not who you tried to be, not who you pretended to be, but who you chose to be. The lover who honors herself will no longer chase affection. She will attract depth. The huntress who softens will not lose her strength. She will deepen her power through connection. The mystic who grounds will not become less divine. She will channel divinity into real-world transformation. Every relationship becomes a mirror, and when you change the reflection, the mirrors recalibrate. 2. Expression becomes authentic. You will no longer speak in watered-down language just to be accepted. The mystic will share her truths even if they're called irrational. The mother will set boundaries, even if she is called selfish. The rebel will disrupt comfort, even if she is labeled difficult. And this will not be rebellion for rebellion's sake. It will be integrity, because the true voice of a whole woman is not aggressive. It is unwavering. Not loud, it is undeniable. Not curated, it is clean with truth. You'll begin to feel when you're off-center, when you're speaking from persona instead of presence. And gently, you'll return, again and again, until it becomes your home. 3. Purpose emerges not from force but from resonance. You don't need to find your purpose. You need to remove what blocks you from hearing it. As Jung said, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. As you remember your archetypes, as you reintegrate your shadow, your purpose becomes clearer, not in a spreadsheet, but in your spine. The lover creates beauty that heals. The mother nurtures systems, gardens, people into wholeness. The mystic receives visions. The huntress builds. The rebel speaks where others stay silent. Your purpose is not just what you do, it's how you move through the world, how you bless it with your being. Let your actions arise from embodiment, not expectation. Let the world be touched by your presence, not your performance. 4. You become a mirror for others. When a woman becomes whole, she threatens no one, but she activates everyone. You will notice that others begin to see themselves more clearly around you. Some will love you for this. Some will resent you. Some will feel confused, exposed, unsure why they feel so much around you. That is not yours to fix. Your presence is a mirror, one that reflects both shadow and possibility. You become a light not by being perfect, but by being real. And when you live your truth without apology, you subconsciously give permission for others to do the same. This is Jung's greater vision, that through individuation, we don't just become more ourselves. We become healing agents in the collective unconscious. Your wholeness is not selfish, it is medicine. A final invocation. Let us stand now metaphorically in the circle of archetypes. They have walked with you through memory, through shadow, through flame. They have whispered truths long silenced. They have stirred old wounds not to hurt you, but to free you. They are not finished. They will rise again, sometimes as dreams, sometimes as heartbreak, sometimes as joy so big it feels like pain. Do not fear their return. They are parts of you. Welcome them. In the final part of this journey, we will close the circle. We will return to the mythic origins of your being, and you will be reminded, gently, fiercely, that nothing about you is random. That your trait, your feature, your essence is a sacred code, a door, a key, a mirror to your soul's deepest truth. The sacred code. Your truth was never a flaw. Have you ever wondered why you were born exactly as you are? Why your voice carries a certain vibration? Why your body holds pain in specific places? Why your life has repeated certain patterns? As if fate were a loop whispering, learn me, learn me, learn me. What if these were not flaws to fix, but fragments of a cosmic design? Carl Jung believed that there is nothing accidental in the psyche. Every trait, every wound, every love, every shameful desire is part of your soul's architecture, placed there not by chance, but by necessity. And that includes the most brutal, most misunderstood truth of all. Being a woman in this world has never been easy. But being a woman who remembers herself, that is a rebellion, a revolution, a resurrection. Let us return to the beginning. You came into this world carrying more than just DNA. You came with symbols woven into your being, symbols passed down from mothers and mythologies, from grandmothers and goddesses, from lifetimes and longings. Your femininity is not something to be performed. It is something to be inhabited. And the feature they told you made you too much? The eyes too sharp? The hips too wide? The voice too deep? The soul too wild? That was never your punishment. It was your calling card, a sacred code. Because the psyche speaks in metaphor, the body speaks in memory, and your life is a myth waiting to be decoded. You are the living archetype. At this point in the journey, you may realize something vital. You are not meant to choose one archetype. You are the maiden and the mystic, the lover and the huntress, the mother and the rebel, and the witch and the sage. Each of these aspects flows through you at different times in different seasons. Each calls to you when the soul requires their wisdom, and the more you resist one, the more loudly it will knock. So instead of choosing, integrate. Instead of performing, become. Let your tears belong to the maiden. Let your rage belong to the huntress. Let your sensuality belong to the lover. Let your boundaries belong to the mother. Let your silence belong to the mystic. Let your destruction belong to the shadow queen. Let your wisdom belong to the elder within you, even if you're only just beginning. Because none of them want perfection. They want presence. They want your honesty, your willingness, your return. A closing ritual, the soul's mirror. Find a moment alone. No noise, no screen, no mask. Place your hand over your heart. Feel the rhythm, not of productivity, not of pleasing, not of proving, but of truth. And say this, not from your mouth, but from your marrow. I remember now, I was never just one thing. I am the storm and the silence. I am desire and discernment. I am the remembered song of women who dared to feel. I am not too much. I am not enough. I am the medicine I thought I had to seek elsewhere. Breathe. Then open your eyes. See yourself. Not as you've been told to be, not as you've tried to become, but as you already are, whole, wild, holy. This journey was not about women as society defines them. It was about the woman you are, underneath it all. The one who remembers, the one who feels, the one who awakens. And if this has stirred something in you, if a voice long silenced is starting to whisper again, then honor it. Don't rush to fix it. Don't race to act. Listen, because your soul is not asking for more effort. It is asking for recognition, and once seen, it begins to bloom. So now walk into the world. Not harder, not smaller, but rooted in the knowing that you are not random. You are not wrong, you are not lost. You are the living myth, the sacred mirror, the truth no one could dim, not even yourself. In the quiet of your own gaze, in the rhythm of your own time, you carry the universe's wisdom. Now, what will you choose to see?